What's up, y'all? What's going on? My name is Ian Edwards, and welcome to the Soccer Comic Rant. This podcast is at allthingscomedy.com, and you go there, and there's a host of comics there with their own podcast. Bill Burr's there with his podcast. He also has his podcast with Bert Kreischer there. Tiger Belly is on there. Bert Kreischer's podcast is on there. Danish and O'Neill, Kate Quigley, Date Fails, and the list goes on and on. Go to allthingscomedy.com and check out all the podcasts on there from all the different types and styles of comics with a variety of topics. And the sponsor for this episode and all episodes is onthevolleyapparel.com. Go there. You see tank tops, hoodies, T-shirts, sweatshirts with hip-hop soccer emblems and logos on them. They got some fly stuff there. Use my promo code ComicRant, get 20% off. It's for male and female, so it's for everybody across the board. They'll outfit your soccer team. So hit them up at On The Volley. Is it onthevolleyapparel.com? There you go. My mind is slipping. It's been a long quarantine. And, go use my promo code ComicRant and lace yourself up and get some gear. My man Elvis will take care of you. And got two guests. They've been here for the last 2 weeks. We saw the end of the season together. So there's Neil Chakravarty, comic from India and San Diego. What up, Neil?
Hey.
Chelsea
going,
fan.
Ian?
Chelsea. The team responsible for the entire transfer market right now. So if it wasn't for Chelsea, there would be no transfer news. They are essentially the spine.
This is where Chelsea is right now. You know what's going to happen, right? Messi's going to tip the scale sitting on the other side pretty soon.
Yeah, you're just living in fear for no reason. Like, everybody knows Messi goes to any team, he's going to unbalance that team.
We'll come to that, yeah. But I have some similar thoughts on that, yeah.
So, it's fine. And next on the podcast is Martin W. Harris from Poland, writer for 442 magazine, sports journalist, also voiceover guy. He's in a bunch of video games, and he's on The Hunt. And what's this other movie? I saw the name, and then I still forgot it, Martin. My bad.
No, good. It's the first day that it came out on
Odd Man Rush.
Odd Man Rush, Amazon, iTunes, Google Plus. For me, it was probably the most emotional. It's not the biggest movie I ever did, but the most emotional because I played sports broadcaster on it for the first time. So it kind of connects two of my biggest passions in life. And the fun thing about that part is a hockey movie, and it features Wayne Gretzky's son and Mario Lemieux's daughter. So former, two greatest hockey players of their generation that they were competing together. It was one of the biggest rivalries in history of the hockey, and their kids are playing together in the same film, and that's a fun fact.
What's hockey?
Yeah.
I said, what's hockey? I've heard of it. How do they play that? I mean.
Yeah. Our friend Joe Bartnick is an expert of hockey. I think he runs a very popular hockey podcast.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know Joe. I know hockey.
Yeah.
But I used to be a Rangers fan.
I wanted to add to the Chelsea thing. They're not only responsible for transfer window massacre, but they're also responsible for the last election.
Massacre.
Yeah, they're also responsible for the last election because they're owned by one of the most influential Russian oligarchs. Don't forget that.
So you have to finish the connection. Yeah,
the conspiracies that the Russians,
the Russia money.
That the Russian boats swung the last election.
Yeah.
But
I saw a picture of the Liverpool owner with Donald Trump. So I think I was like, well, it looks like everybody's cutting favor here.
What local owner?
The Liverpool owner, John Henry.
Trump? Oh,
yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
I'm
like Abramovich is more. I watched a thing on Abramovich, and he was an oligarch before Putin came in, right? Then
he was
when
with Boris
Putin
Yeltsin
came
and all
in,
those guys.
Yeah, Putin was like, I'm getting rid of the oligarchs. And the way that...
Not quite.
Well, let me just finish this, and then you dispute it.
All right.
And then the way he survived was he pledged allegiance to Putin and helped Putin win the election and put money in and stuff like that, so that he wasn't thrown in jail with the ones that did not side with him. So what do you know that's different?
Well, I'll tell you this. I never said that to you or on podcast or off the podcast. I used to date 2004, 2005. I've lived in Moscow. I used to date a daughter of one of the oligarchs. I'm not going to say which one, but I was, almost married her. We were engaged, as a matter of fact.
Oh, yeah?
So, yeah. So I know a little bit about oligarchs. So Putin pretty much presented a deal to the oligarchs. You either support me or you're my enemy. And Abramovich supported it, and Khodorkovsky didn't, and Khodorkovsky ended in jail for like 15 years or something. So pretty much they had to bow to him as a new, because the guy who made them rich was Yeltsin. He came after Yeltsin. So they had to pretty much pledge allegiance to him. Otherwise, all their assets would be frozen, and there would be no Chelsea, there would be no Abramovich.
Right. So Martin, isn't that what I just pretty much said?
Yeah. But what I'm trying to say is that Abramovich is very much Putin's guy, very much Putin's guy.
But that's what I was saying.
Survives to win.
Yeah,
that's the kind of guy I like.
Yeah, that's exactly what I said, Martin. Different words, exact same thing.
Yeah, maybe.
It's hilarious.
Yeah, and it's funny because we mentioned that transfers. I remember when I was in London when the first wave of Chelsea, as that was called, Chelsea revolution. I remember because I was in London when they were buying those guys. They were buying Veron, Crespo, Wayne
Duff,
Bridge,
Damon Duff,
all those guys.
Yeah.
So that was the first wave. And it shocked the entire England. It looks like it's the second wave right now. It looks like the second.
I was actually just yesterday trying to do a comparison between which was, like, not in hindsight, but at the time, the best transfer window. And I think this is getting very close to 2003, where you had Hernan Crespo, Damien Duff, Joe Cole, Veron, Makalele. So you had
I think back then they bought a complete team that was balanced. I still don't believe this team is balanced. I think you still have more attacking than defense. The defenders you bought are old. And it's like, hey, man, you got rid of David Luiz to buy somebody older than David Luiz.
But better than David Luiz.
I don't know. But David Luiz just beat you in one of the contests for a title.
And Thiago Silva is still better.
It matters. You wanted the FA Cup.
No, but there's a direct way to match up David Luiz and Thiago Silva, right? David Luiz never gets into the Brazil team for the last 3 or 4 years. Thiago Silva.
He played with Thiago Silva.
But not in a lot of late.
Right. He didn't. So he's lost less lately for Brazil than Thiago has. All Thiago has done has lost more in the last 3 years with Brazil than Thiago Silva. That's all you tell him. You're not telling him anything.
They played together as they were both the center backs in the game against Germany, which they lost.
No. Silva was suspended actually for that game. I think he got a lot of, because he picked up a second yellow against Colombia previous game. Yeah. So Thiago Silva, you remember that famous scene at the beginning of the game where they held up Neymar's shirt?
Yeah.
And there was a guy on the other corner holding up Thiago Silva's shirt. Nobody focused on him. But they had two shirts out there.
But he played against Belgium, right? When they lost the last World Cup, I think.
Last one, yeah.
Who did? Thiago or David?
Thiago.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if David Luiz was there in the last World Cup. I don't think he was. But Thiago Silva definitely was. I mean, he had lost the captaincy by then because Neymar was the captain.
A very good player, nevertheless. Very good player. I'm very impressed with that transfer. Chilwell, we'll see. I'm not sold 100% on Chilwell. Yeah. I know that your manager is sold on Chilwell more than I am. But,
he seems to be the only one who's like absolutely convinced of Chilwell.
I really agree with Martin. I wouldn't even say I really agree with Martin, but I agree with him this time. I'm not sold on Chilwell. And it's not like...
me neither.
He's just plain to me. And when I see him play for England, I'm like, what's it? He's a right back or left back?
Left back.
Left back. Maybe he is the best left back, English left back right now because we have mostly right backs.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it still doesn't make him great to me. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think Chilwell definitely among the rest of the signings, he is the one which is completely a manager signing that this was somebody whom Lampard really wanted and has wanted since I think December.
Yeah.
And the club went and got him. So, yeah, I think most Chelsea fans are also in the same boat. The only thing I will say, though, is about the left back situation. I wasn't really convinced of Chilwell, but I wasn't really convinced about any of the other names I was hearing either. So I was pretty much on the fence of every single left back that we're getting linked to. So,
interesting that in modern football, the position of left back and right back is adjustable. I mean, let's say you can buy someone like Alphonso Davies, who wasn't a left back, and make him a left back. You can buy a very good, fast, quick, kind of coordinated player and put him in this spot and tell him to play there, right?
Well, it's good that you say that, Martin, because Chelsea has so many forward players. They can easily convert one of them to a left back. Tammy Abrahams might make a great left back for you guys.
No, I think what you're saying, is
Mount will make a great left back for you guys. Like what? Like you don't have to. You know what? Just keep buying forwards. You just turn him into a left back.
I think what you're saying is already happening at the academy level. There are two players. One guy, both from Holland actually. One guy's name is Ian Matson, and the other is Juan Castillo. And they're both they started their careers as wingers, but now they're kind of settling into that left back role. So maybe in a few years we will find somebody like that. But here's the thing about Alphonso Davies. I'm sure there's an Alphonso Davies out there right now. But if somebody like Alphonso Davies Chelsea was signing at the time, Bayern signed them, I don't think many of us would have been like, wow, this is the guy. Because these are players who you come out of scouting and, it's not really somebody that convinces people across the board.
But Neil, that happens all the time. Looking at my team, Sessegnon, when he played before at Fulham, he was a striker. He was a winger or striker, right? And he played the left back for Spurs last season, sometimes when he played, right? So that's a new tendency because football has changed and the position of football has changed as well. And left back and right back often play the whole flank, and you have three center backs, right? That's often you have three center backs next to each other, and then you have full right side and full left side, and it's one player going back and forth. He has to be, constantly on. So it's easy to adjust an attacking player to that position.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, they've done it. They did it with Ashley Young. They've done it with a bunch of players. Like
I think
we did it with when we replaced the guy we replaced Ronaldo ended up being one of our best backs.
Ashley Young.
Valencia. So they do that all the time. So Chelsea has plenty of left backs. I don't know why they bought Chilwell. That's my whole point. And speaking of just Chelsea, man, it's like I realize the transfer window is Christmas for football clubs. Like the coach is the kid and they go into the owner, so you see Frank Lampard compiling his Christmas list in the middle of May, and he gets down on his knees and, he hands it. He sits on Abramovich's lap. Yeah. And Abramovich said, "What do you want for football Christmas, Frank?" And apparently Frank had everybody on the list. And Santa Abramovich is delivering right now. He's getting you all the players. I think it definitely last week we talked about the hysteria of Man United fans. They were just panicking. So then this week we panicked, but we made what I feel like is a good purchase. For it to be one purchase, it's kind of perfect. And the only thing I don't like about it is the Donny Van De Beek, because people are they bought him to replace Pogba, which is come on. the same journalists who are saying this is like, you saw the limitation of our 11-man squad. Like we just had a starting 11, and we definitely needed to add someone who could sometimes give Pogba a break and sometimes give Bruno Fernandes a break. So why would you say he's there to replace Pogba? You're just trying to sell newspapers, and it's like, can we just get some real info in this world? Can we do that?
Yeah, they talked so much, and this is a relevant point that has come up with United, right? They don't have any bench strength. And now suddenly when guy gets signed, they're like, oh, that's because Pogba is going to go out. Then that's not really increasing the bench strength. You're actually decreasing the value of the main 11.
Yeah.
So,
I don't see why Van De Beek would be a replacement for Pogba. They're completely two different players. I would say Van De Beek, I would see him where Greenwood played. He'll probably play there, because that's where he played at Ajax against us Spurs in the Champions League semifinals. He actually, I think, scored a goal.
Where Greenwood played, like as a forward,
as a right wing. Yeah, I think he'll play there.
Nah, bro.
Where do you think he'll play then?
They say he's a 10 and an 8. Where's the 8 play?
box to box.
Box to box, right? Yeah, they say he's a 10 and an 8.
Which, yeah, but Fernandes there, you have to push him to the side.
No, but you don't, because you want like depth and rotation. Like Fernandes was definitely tired, right? So you can like put Van de Beek there on the games that you want to rest for Bruno Fernandes, right? And then in the games you want to replace and rest Pogba, you just start Matic and Van de Beek, or Fred and Van de Beek, and then put Fernandes. He's just a guy, and if anybody's injured, then he's in for whoever's out of those two is injured. But we definitely have a problem with only having Pogba and Bruno in those two positions. We needed somebody who could start, but also replace them. And I think that's who he is, And we also probably need one more person to spell those two guys in those two positions too. Or we need somebody that is like a hybrid who could switch number positions. That's why I kind of liked.
He is that. He's that.
Grealish. So I think he's that. And I think sometimes this is what we should do. Sometimes play Matic and Van de Beek, rest Bruno, and put Pogba in the 10. You know what I mean? Like, we should just mix it up. Not let people be able to guess what's going to happen. Because I watched all the goals that were scored under Solskjaer. It's on YouTube. It's a lot of goals. And Pogba was prominent in the first phase when we won like 10 or 14 in a row. Like, he was just up there creating or scoring. So then we had a system where like Pogba was going for it. So people are saying now Pogba is not giving you goals, but he can if you move him up. And if you have somebody to be in his position to play in his place of where he is now. So I just think we should just mix it all up and not let people guess where everybody's going to be every game. Or it's going to become stagnant and predictable.
And I want to see all three of them. I want to see Van de Beek, Pogba, and Fernandes playing together. And you can do that if you condense the middle into a triangle where you have Fernandes at the top, and then you have behind Pogba and Van der Beek, or Van de Beek and Pogba can go to sides and let Fernandes operate in the middle. So you don't use those two wings. You rest Rashford, you rest Greenwood in that occasion. It's possible. It's another option.
Yeah, you could
like in a diamond
around.
Like in a diamond, right?
Yeah.
And then have Martial and Rashford play up top.
Yeah, and James potentially as another option.
Yeah. Or I don't know if I think you guys would still want to go for, like, if you guys can't get Sancho, maybe you guys will still go for somebody like Jack Grealish.
I think that will happen. I think they will buy Grealish. Gary Neville, I think today said something like, Man U will not compete for the title with this roster. And I assume that he thinks Messi will end up at City. We'll discuss that later because it's huge money are on the table on that one. But Chelsea and City and Liverpool right now are the clear favorites, and I would say United are the fourth best team, which is still good. But obviously, you want to compete for the title. So to compete for the title, you probably need two more players. You probably need one more defender, and Upamecano is the name brought up. And I remember I talked with you, Ian, about Upamecano before the
I don't remember that.
Champions League.
I don't remember that. I don't remember you ever bringing that up.
and he's a clear upgrade over Lindelof for sure, or whenever Maguire gets out of trouble. So yeah, he's a replacement for Lindelof long term and short term for Maguire's criminal record.
Nice.
I mean, who cares? Who cares? It's in Greece,
Yeah, he can still play. Like if you guys get drawn against a Greek team in the Champions League group stages, he can club his courthouse appearance with the away game.
I mean, listen, like he's appealing a verdict in Greece. It's Greece. Who cares? You know what I'm saying? Who cares if in Greece they say you got into a club fight? It's Greece. It I don't even. I'd wear it as a badge of honor that I got arrested in Greece.
I think the danger here is he's accused of punching and bribing a police officer.
Listen, man, it's Greece.
Greece is tricky. I'll tell you guys a story that happened to me when I was 19 and I went to the World Championship in basketball. I almost ended up in jail myself because there are very tricky people in Greece. They get you in trouble. When they see you're a foreigner, they get you in trouble. So I remember I went after one of the games into a bar. It was a kind of a strange bar because there were only 3 girls inside. And one of them started talking to me, and a guy we had a conversation, and the guy was coming and pouring champagne. And after 1 hour, they gave me a bill, and the bill was for like $500. And I said, "What is this?"
Mm-hmm.
And they said, "Oh, this is your company. You paid for the company with the girl and for the champagne." I'm like, "I never asked for it." They're
that's
like,
that's a strip club.
It wasn't. It wasn't a strip club. It was some sort of a bar.
Maybe they didn't advertise it as a strip club.
That's what I'm saying.
It was.
You have to be very careful.
But that's what I'm saying. It's Greece. It's like it's like the whole listen. I don't believe Maguire's complete story. It doesn't make sense. But it's also Greece, and it's like there's parts of it that's kind of plausible, and it's like I don't believe his whole story, but I don't believe Greece's version either. So
yeah, same here.
It's like I'm not trying to. If you say I committed a crime in Greece and my sentence is suspended and I can go and play soccer for my club and country, I don't give a damn. It's Greece.
But I think they have another appeal. Like he's appealed, so I think they have us.
I would not waste the lawyer fee. I would save that money.
What if what if the appeal does not work and he has to do jail time?
What are you appealing? Yeah, what do you appeal? Listen. Yeah, I don't listen. He's making this more than I feel like it needs to be, unless there's some reason why having a record in Greece is a big deal. Like, I don't think it is. It's like, so what? I think he's on some pride shit. I think he wants to clear the charge so he can be captain. But you shouldn't have been captain anyway, bro. So
who do you think should be captain?
Man, Pogba should have been captain.
Fernandes.
De Gea could have been captain. Now Fernandes can be captain.
Best player.
There's choices before Maguire got there.
Or Rashford.
Why is Rashford? I was gonna say, why is Rashford not? It seems like he's perfect from the academy. He's starting player.
There you go.
And he's got a lot of goodwill now.
Yeah,
and
he made another big charity move today. So
yeah,
with those school meals and stuff. That's very, very impressive.
Right.
But he got omitted from the English national team. He didn't get called up, right?
No,
I think he got called up. He
got
backed
injured
out.
and he backed out, and that's how I I think he got injured and Winks got out. That's how Grealish finally got into the team.
Yeah, true.
That's how good Grealish is.
Yeah. So what?
That's how good Grealish is. Not the first choice.
I think you're wrong, bro. I think you're wrong.
Good player, not a great player in my opinion, but he might still grow. He's still young.
But Martin, you're wrong about a bunch of things. So I'm glad you brought this.
Absolutely.
We're disagreeing with Grealish because, when Arteta first got hired, you're like, I don't believe in him. I don't think he's the one. But Arteta has been the coach of Arsenal for 3.5 weeks, and he's won more trophies for Arsenal than Pochettino won in 5.5 years.
What position did he finish on in the league?
So what?
What position did he finish on?
He hasn't even done a full season, bro.
I don't know, man. I remember Wigan Athletic in the FA Cup, and what.
Say that again.
Going down in the same season to the Championship. Wigan Athletic with Martinez, they won the FA Cup 1 year.
Roberto Martinez, yeah.
Oh, so let me ask you a question. So you believe that's going to happen to Arsenal this year?
No. I just want to see more because I still don't see. I don't see a team that can compete for the top four. I see it with Spurs. I see it with United. I see it with Chelsea. Maybe I don't think Wolverhampton anymore. I think after losing Doherty and not really buying their good players, I don't think they'll be as good as they were last 2 years. But I see those 5 teams I've mentioned fighting for top four. I don't see Arsenal fighting for top four in current situation. And I'm hearing that they're about to sell Bellerin to PSG. So here you go.
Yeah, but Bellerin is not that good. Something happened to him along the way. He's not as good as he used to be. I don't think selling Bellerin is that big of a loss. I'm really just talking about coaching. I'm not talking about their team. I'm talking about when that coach wins 2 trophies with that team that is so unbalanced, and he figures out a way to balance a lopsided team that has clear deficiencies, even that I can pick them out, and to win 2 trophies with that team, I'm telling you, that guy's a coach. And I felt he was a coach before he won those things too. Go ahead.
One of those trophies, Charity Shield, not really a trophy, kind of a trophy.
Let me ask you a question. Has Spurs won?
No, because you have to win another trophy first.
Exactly. Exactly. Exactly.
But also,
that's one trophy Spurs definitely can't win.
That's one.
Just mathematically.
One was FA Cup. But even you, Ian, mentioned on this podcast that Manchester United shouldn't go for FA Cup this year. That it's more important to finish top 4 because it's a kind of a weird season. There were a lot of games, So I would say some of those teams, including Liverpool, didn't really push for FA Cup. But he won it. Good for him. He won it.
Yeah, but you can't say he won it and then he won the result of it. You know what I mean? He won the Charity Shield against Liverpool, the champs. He figured out a way how to beat them in a situation where his best player has not signed a contract. He's got kids out of the academy. Their defense has an old guy that Chelsea sold to buy an older guy. You know what I mean? So he's done a pretty impressive job so far.
I think it's been pretty good, but we'll only know at the end, as you said, like at the end of a whole season. Because remember, Arsenal, despite all of this, it's all coming in a cluster. You remember when restart happened, they lost the first game 5-0 or something to Man City. And then they lost to Brighton. And then they drew up to another lowly team. And they were in danger.
And they lost to whom as well? They lost to whom?
They lost to Spurs, did they?
They lost a tactical battle. He lost the tactical battle with the great Jose Mourinho.
He just got there and he's just figuring it out. I'm just saying, you guys, Spurs are first of all really good at winning inconsequential games. Number one, so it's like you guys can win a game that doesn't matter. It's just so if it always matters, then Arteta is winning games when it really matters. He's got 2 trophies in 3.5 weeks. That is pretty impressive. Like only Zidane started his. They're bigger trophies that Zidane won, but you know, you're telling me he's definitely going in the right direction.
Well, I'll tell you, comparing Zidane winning trophies and Arteta,
I knew you would do that, but that's why I said it's not the same level of trophies. You
like,
heard me say that, and you're still trying to hang me with it. Like, what are you doing, bro?
It's like going to the bar and one guy goes back with the top model and the other with the ugliest chick at the bar home. But they're still both scored.
Listen, man, all Pochettino did was win Greece titles.
I'm not defending Pochettino. As a matter of fact, we'll talk later about the documentary.
All right, we'll talk about the documentary, but let me read something on the One Football app that's probably going to scare Neil because he brought it up. Terms agreed. Report claims Lionel Messi has agreed a $700 million contract to sign for City.
It's not only City. I mean, it is City, but not only City. It's a very complicated deal. Probably the first one like that in the history of football, where he signs with two teams on one day. Because he signs with City for 3 years or 4 years, and then he signs with NYFC, New York FC.
For 2 years.
For 2 years.
It's American money making that much money, you know, because he's getting the American money from the MLS deal. I mean,
I think this is happening, guys. Like, I don't see any way this is not happening anymore because he's not turned up for training 4 days in a row now. And I just heard an interview in English by the guy who's the contender to be the next president. Joseph Font, I think is his name. The guy who's the main contender. And he said that, I'm going to try, like if Bartolome goes, apparently that's what Messi has wanted for a while. But he says that maybe now it's too late. Lionel Messi has made a decision. I'm sure he's thought about it. So, of course, as long as it doesn't happen, there is always hope. But I feel it's very unlikely. And because it's very unlikely, he says that the next thing we should do is ensure this doesn't become an ugly legal battle. Because Messi is Barca, Barca is Messi. They have a big bond. You don't want the eventual parting of ways to be bitter.
Barca is Messi in terms of a mess. Messi.
It's pretty messy, yeah. So this is the guy. This is the guy who's supposed to be the next president, and they're saying the election that is supposed to be in March is going to happen anytime now. So, and if there is so much anti-Bartolomeo sentiment in Barca, then this guy's going to be the president, and he is more or less okaying Lionel Messi going for free, because he's saying that if we don't want to go the legal, ugly legal battle route. Where you try and find out whether the contract was on July end or now for free, and now and because it's not July now, it has to be 700 million. He's pretty much okaying the fact that the guy has made his decision, and we have to respect the principle of the contract, the spirit of the contract, if not the exact letter of the contract, because it's Messi and the things he has done for Barcelona.
I watched Go ahead.
Yeah, I saw a very interesting discussion, among American people, American pundits. Why don't we give Messi the same deal as David Beckham had when they gave him, the biggest contract in MLS, but also a right to own a franchise in the MLS? And somebody said, and it's a very good argument, that the deal that happened when Beckham was here, the teams were evaluated between the value was between $50 and $200 million. But right now, the franchise value is like 700-800 mil. So pretty much you would have to give Messi 6-7 times more money, potential money later, for a franchise than what Beckham got. So it's a completely different situation. It's this different stratosphere because Beckham had to pay.
Messi is in a different stratosphere, and
true. Although
probably
Beckham was the most famous player in the world at his time as well. We're talking marketing money.
He was never the best though. He was
not
popular.
the best footballer, but he was probably the most popular footballer in the world.
But everybody still respected whoever was best. And there was a time when he was probably like the second best player in the world, but that's not when that deal went through. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Also, that deal itself. If Lionel Messi is smart, and I'm sure he has smart finance guys, loyal guys with him, he will look at the David Beckham deal and see how long it actually took for David Beckham to get any money out of it, and say, well, I don't want such a deal.
Yeah, he might not want to own the club. I mean, obviously David Beckham got it's like getting a house for free, like getting house. Someone gives you a house. So MLS gave him a franchise for free.
Martin, how was that deal? Like what was the deal exactly with Beckham?
That he got a right to get a franchise wherever he chooses, and he chose in Miami for free, where the licensing fee right now is like 500, 600 mil to own a club in the MLS.
Right.
So that's the money he got for free as a part of the deal. So he technically made a lot of money.
So he probably got. So do you think Beckham for Inter Miami, like, hey, you want a part of my free deal? You have to give me the money that I didn't have to pay for this.
Yeah.
So he sold parts or all of the licensing for the team, or a percentage of it.
He owns it
for people to be in it.
Yeah, he owns it. That's his toy. He owns it. He's the owner. So, and he got it for free from the MLS because that was the part of the deal. He agreed to make 5-6 million, I think, a year. That was his contract that was his original contract with the Galaxy.
I thought his original contract was like for 50 mil.
No, that was counted the value of the franchise at the time. So they said it's 50 mil because the value of the franchise at the time was 200 mil. But right now it's 800 mil.
Oh, so they gave him the 50 mil was just the franchise, and then they paid him 5 mil a year separately.
Yeah.
It's essentially like
worth, that was like a parcel, like buying a part of the house that was owned, that the value of the house was 200 mil. So they were adding it to his salary that, he has a 4-year contract, but it's 5 plus 45 because the 45 is the value for that year of that franchise.
Beckham
it's
got
like
some
a
good
startup,
business people.
Right? It's like a startup, right? Like when you have these startups and they don't have a lot of money initially to pay their employees, so they give them future for stock options.
Right.
And he landed the biggest stock option there is. And
yeah, MLS was at that time a 10-year startup.
Exactly. Yeah.
Or maybe.
But I'm pretty sure this is inevitable. Messi for New York, Ronaldo for LA. You're gonna have Messi versus Ronaldo in the MLS.
It's a done deal because Man City and New York are the same franchise. So that will be part of the deal, that he will technically sign with 2 teams. One deal, but with 2 teams. That first 3-4 years at City and then 2 years at NYFC, because NYFC is owned by Man City.
Yeah, and in that time you'll also have Ronaldo here. So you're gonna have Messi versus Ronaldo in the MLS.
Yeah, but you know what? Possibly, but I still think Ronaldo can probably make more money in China. He might go there for like 100 million.
Ronaldo can't come to America.
Oh, wait! I thought that got settled, right? Didn't that? You're talking about the Vegas thing?
Yeah, the Vegas thing.
I thought that got they signed another settlement or something.
Yeah, check and see. Yeah, but last time it's been a minute since I checked on that, but yeah.
But yeah, I mean, Messi is playing in the Premier League next season, as it looks like right now.
I'm not afraid at all. I feel like he's going to unbalance their squad.
Yeah.
Need defenders. They're going to have to. I wonder how this works with not their salary cap, because it's not a salary cap, but how do you avoid breaking financial rules, fair play?
Just like they have, and they got vindicated a few months back that
just don't get hacked. Just don't get hacked this time.
They can ship.
Yes, so
ship Mahrez to, let's say, China for 100 million, and they're covered.
Yeah.
And then and then that's it.
Yeah.
So essentially, I think what they're gonna do is whatever salary he is on, if it's got to be something exorbitant amount, that amount will essentially come out of a sponsorship deal. Like say the Abu Dhabi, tourism board signs 300 million sponsorship deal with Lionel Messi, for which he has to do a couple of ads every year.
Or
they're just gonna
put it on NYFC. They put it already. They will put in the books for NYFC, and he'll be just on a loan from NYFC to Man City. They can do that too. Why not?
But NYFC also has its own salary caps, right? Or do they not have it for these marquee players?
No, if you're a designated player, technically no.
Okay. Yeah, so they'll pull. They have to get run away with so much, which did not require you to get away with. So they'll definitely pull out all stops for something
He
like
signs
this.
with NYFC for 6 years and goes on loan to Man City.
That's so crazy, the different ways. It's just so interesting, the different ways you can launder money right in front of people's faces. It's just crazy. It's like when you're in, it's 3-card Monte when you're in New York and they put the $20 bill or the, you know, under the thing and they just move it around and then you just can't find it. And it's like,
yeah, my friend played in Brazil. He was a Polish international. He played in Brazil in Flamengo, and he had an agent who owned the club in Uruguay, Rentistas Montevideo. That was the name, Rentistas Montevideo. The club technically had 50 players, 50 top players, like really very good players, but it wasn't even in any competition. It was all fake, you know, like the players were being bought by this Uruguayan club and then being loaned or resold to other clubs. So the club was kind of a money laundry, as you call it.
Yeah. I mean, all right.
Yeah.
All right. Just, just wash it with oil money, I guess.
But I agree with you, Ian, that if Messi does come to City, we are gonna have essentially De Bruyne and Messi, and that's gonna be one of the most, because De Bruyne does little or no defensive work. Messi is not gonna do any defensive work.
I think De Bruyne is defensive. Like you can't play for Pep and not be.
De Bruyne in the last year or so has completely, like that part of the game has completely been Rodri and Fernandinho doing it. Like De Bruyne has been going more and more up front. Like he almost pretty much, he's an 8, but he plays like a number 10. So if and when they play with the other guy like Gundogan or Bernardo Silva, they pretty much do a little bit of defensive work. So unless Messi is coming to play right wing, I think they're gonna have that problem. It's gonna get a little bit more unbalanced than what it is right now.
And it's interesting with De Bruyne. Another thing, who will go with set pieces? Who will be the free kick taker? De Bruyne is probably the best free kick taker in the Premier League, but Messi is also a free kick taker. So who will be the free kick taker for Man City?
I mean, that's a good problem. Listen, scoring is not going to be their problem. Their problem is going to be defending. So unless they go with a system where we're just going to outscore you and commit to it.
And they already tried that this season. They scored 102 goals and they finished on 81 points. So how many more goals are they going to add on top of that?
Well, you add Messi, that's at least 30 more. And that's games that you lost, you probably win.
Yeah.
So
but there are games that they lost because they made individual mistakes at the back. Their system was, they didn't have the goal we scored, the great goal Pulisic scored. They literally had two defenders in their half, and neither of them were centre backs. And Pulisic got the ball out of one of them, and then it was a one-on-one with the goalkeeper.
That was off a corner, right?
No, it was a free kick.
Right, set play.
Like set play from near the throw-in line, went in, and they had pretty much very little cover back, and they made a mistake. So
right, but that's how most teams do their corners or set plays. It's like it's like that's how Arsenal used to break. That's how Man United used to break on teams, and and that's how Solskjaer's setup was at first when he first got there. But now we play like a complete team. But we'll see what happens. Like I agree with you agreeing with me that Messi is going to unbalance Man City, and they might have to just be like, let's score.
Yeah.
Let's just keep trying to score.
It's going to be exciting though. Like I'm really looking forward to it as just a neutral observer, like as a project. Right. Watching Messi in the Premier League is going to be amazing because this has been one of the lingering topics of discussion over how many years that the famous thing, like, can Messi do it on a cold Tuesday night in Stoke?
Yeah.
And maybe we should maybe because Messi is coming, we should just have Stoke promoted break all the rules and have Stoke promoted, just to
Why?
have that that saying. See if that saying holds true.
What's the saying?
The saying is, okay, Messi is good, but can he do it on a cold Tuesday night at Stoke?
Yeah.
He doesn't have to because Stoke is in the second league. But he will have to against United because I think that's the first game, right?
Why does everybody think a cold night in England is some type of challenge to like a professional soccer player? Like it's like a cold night at Stoke. Like whoever, it sounds good. Like there's so many soccer players from all over the world that have gone and done well at a cold night in Stoke that weren't Messi. Why wouldn't he? Like whoever made that saying up.
I think it started under Tony
bullshit.
Pulis, where they had like these giants.
There you go, Pulis. That's all you need to say is Pulis. Yeah.
In 2004, when I went to visit my fiancée in Moscow, I went to the game.
The oligarch's daughter?
Yeah, the oligarch's daughter. So in 2004, I went to the Champions League game as it's CSKA Moscow against Chelsea. I remember I talked to Frank Lampard after the game. The weather was, I think, -0 Fahrenheit. -0 Fahrenheit. And it was so freaking cold that I couldn't use my hands. I had to, put, even with the gloves, I had problems typing in a story because that was so cold. And still, Chelsea won, and nobody complained. So
there you go. And Martin, you grew up in Poland. You played in the freezing weather when you was a kid. You just played.
But Messi has not. That's the point.
But Messi has traveled to cold places in Champions League and played.
No, I know he's gonna do. I'm just saying that this has been a big topic of discussion. So it'll just be
I know. I think
either ways, like it'll be good to see what happens of this thing.
Yeah, I think it's a big useless discussion. I think it's just one of those things people make up and then people start repeating it because it sounds good. But it's like Messi's Messi, bro.
Messi's Messi, yeah.
Yeah, like and you're gonna pick the best player in the world and say he's gonna have trouble on a cold night in Stoke when lesser players haven't.
Yeah, Morata got a hat-trick at Stoke, so.
And where is he now? On the bench of Atletico.
Also, piggybacking on that last thought, I remember because I had a chance to talk to Frank Lampard several times at the time that year, and from all the players available after the game, he was always talking to every single almost journalist. He was always available. He was always nice, even if the questions were stupid. He was never angry. He wasn't showing impatience, And I remember even at that time, I had that thought that he'll be either a good club official or a coach, because he knows how to handle media. He knows how to be diplomatic, and here we go.
I think like John Terry, Lampard, every football player from a national football player that grew up within the circumference of the Beckham era is like a polished like diplomat in football and knows and have learned how to talk themselves into jobs and to survive in them. Like those players like came along at a time when football was on the rise and they had to like deal with the press more, and they just been trained to like answer questions. And they know the value of like pissing off the press and being the friend of the press and relationships with media and people above them and people on the board and seeing how things get done. I just think they've learned as much about football on the field as off the field,
I agree. And yeah, I mean, this is going to be a big challenge for all these new managers, Lampard, Solskjaer, Arteta, because now you literally have to, whatever you thought about the challenges of this season, you add Messi to that. And
you know what it is? Messi is that cold night in Stoke. Let's see
if the cold night in Stoke can handle Messi.
Can handle Messi. Like, let's see if you can handle a cold night in Man City at the Etihad versus Messi. That's your cold night in Stoke. You know what I mean? So any team that has to go up there and like you're gonna need umbrellas on the field to stop it raining goals. You know what I mean?
It's gonna be fun. I mean,
you know who's the first team who will play City, right?
Who?
You guys.
Oh yeah, because we both have that week off, right? We both have next week. This weekend coming. We got to look at. Yeah. So
oh god,
let's talk about shit. Let's.
Ian's suddenly realizing that they're gonna be the first people on that cannon.
Well, not that. Not only that, but listen, I'd love to get Messi when they haven't even figured it out his deal.
Yeah.
And I'd love to get the play City now while they're unbalanced and their new players aren't in. Even if Messi plays, they don't have nothing really organized unless they're talking over Zoom right now and just setting up positions. So I'd rather get Man City first week and figure that out than than have them like a fully up and functioning unbalanced team. I'd like a fresh unbalanced team as opposed to a fully functioning unbalanced team.
Yeah, Messi and Kevin De Bruyne. I was thinking like maybe De Bruyne is probably going to be the best midfielder Messi's played with. I mean, I know he's played with Xavi and Iniesta.
Doesn't get better than Xavi and Iniesta, bro.
But like just as one footballer, like De Bruyne is...
What? He played with Suarez, he played with...
No, midfielder.
Oh, Rakitic is not a bad player.
Yeah, Rakitic is dope. Rakitic is dope, man.
I feel De Bruyne is at a different level from these guys, though.
Then is Xavi and Iniesta?
Yeah, I feel he's just that. I don't know.
We're talking about two guys that have won the Euros twice, World Cup once, and every Champions Leagues, La Liga.
Yeah,
titles.
but you know they also played like they had each other, right?
Yeah, but
I'm saying just individually as a midfielder, like De Bruyne can pretty much he can create and score.
De Bruyne was the best midfielder for City in the last 5 years. Was Silva?
Yeah,
not in the last 5 years.
Last 5 years.
I thought like Silva was on his way down.
So, yeah, he got better than Silva when Silva got old, not when Silva was in his prime. De Bruyne is good, but he's no way on. Listen, to me, Xavi and Iniesta are on the same level of as Zidane or better. Like both of them. Like I feel like the creativity of like what's his name from Chile.
Vidal.
Vidal just made a statement about, and I'm gonna paraphrase, so I can't remember how. Barcelona has regressed because they have not evolved their DNA.
Yeah.
And they need faster, stronger, less technical players. But I think he's wrong. I think they need faster, stronger, more technical players. And when I say that, I'm thinking of Xavi and Iniesta, who were the most technical players, but also they would shut you down. They would press you like Conte, and when they get the ball, play it like Zidane. And that combination, like I don't think football will ever admit how good those two guys were. For some reason, I don't think football, because at least Messi, he's lost when he played on teams without them. But they have won with him and without him. And I just don't know if people realize and these guys never slid on the ground to tackle anybody. They'll wolf pack you, they'll surround you, you'll cough the ball up, and they'll turn it back and shove the ball up down your throats. And they'll break your defense down. No matter what you have planned, they'll break it down. And it's just like, will these guys ever get credit for? I just don't. They get credit, but they don't. You know.
I think they're definitely in that Hall of Fame, so to say. But I feel like De Bruyne is gonna get there too by the end of his career. The numbers he's putting up is just crazy.
But if you look at their numbers, when's the last time you looked at their numbers?
There's not a lot. Yeah, you're right. There's not a lot of emphasis on numbers back then. But
Well, I think the best test will be comparing numbers of De Bruyne with Messi with Xavi and Iniesta with Messi. You know, like that will be something to think of. You know, like when that happens.
that's true.
But that won't even be fair because now you're comparing Xavi and Iniesta's numbers with Messi and De Bruyne's numbers with a 33-year-old Messi who will be reinvigorated, you know, because he's moving and he has something to prove and he's determined. But that's not even, it'll just never be fair.
Also, I think from Messi's perspective, Spanish league is more technical. I think England, in some of those games, he'll have huge numbers because the defenders and generally players are way less skilled.
Yeah.
Or like the lower table English teams, they're definitely way less skilled. So he will just run past them every single time, pretty much, through like Aston Villa defenders or through Fulham defenders. I don't think he'll have any problem scoring hat-tricks in those games.
Aston Villa has defenders? Right. When did they get those?
Yeah.
Is there something happening in the transfer market that I didn't notice? So let's go to the documentary.
Okay, yeah.
Yep.
Let's go to All or Nothing Spurs. And,
The All or Nothing Jose Mourinho documentary.
I know. And let me just say, and I said this to Neil before you got on, and this show makes Mourinho look like a really good coach. The 3 episodes so far, like what he says before in training, what he says before the match, what he says at halftime, whether they're down or up, is perfect. It's what you should want to tell your players. But I also think we're seeing the best of a damaged Mourinho, learning from his experience, from his failures at the end of his Chelsea days, and definitely he failed at Man U, but he did win at Man U, but he failed ultimately in the end, and he had a time to like review and look at himself and take out some of the bad parts and repair those things and become a better coach. But I'm impressed with him. Let me just say that.
I'm pretty sure you like the conversation he had with Dele Alli when he said, Alex Ferguson told me only one thing when I was at Man U, buy Dele Alli because he's Manchester United player. Remember that?
Yeah.
Right. Well, Alex was wrong. Yeah, I know.
Well, I thought like the first, like, do you guys think if Jose Mourinho was not sacked, this documentary would have had, if Pochettino was not sacked and Mourinho not appointed, this documentary would have had a lot, because it felt like, because they really, they spoke about the whole Pochettino episode as if he was sacked in week 1 or week 2. They got rid of it like real quick. There's a lot that happened.
They wrapped up the Pochettino part fast.
Well, I did some research on that because I wrote a story. I wrote my review for Polish website on the documentary, and apparently Pochettino wasn't a fan. He wasn't giving production much. He was giving minimum, and Mourinho kind of embraced the production a little bit. And plus, it seemed the entertainment value that Mourinho brought, it was much higher than Pochettino. Pochettino was kind of dull. Those scenes with Pochettino are not really that interesting. Where Mourinho, even like when he sits and makes notes and he hears to the commentary appointment, and he's like, "Fuck off," and turns it on.
That was hilarious.
It was entertaining, you know.
Yeah, but Pochettino, he actually says something slightly controversial in the opening, in the first episode, where he says like, you know, when a team goes through a ride and then people see the downfall, but the downfall begins much before the actual downfall that people see. So you have to be able to detect that before. And the guy, the producer asks, "You mean that's what's happening at Tottenham?" He's like, "No. Like he's so hesitant to even make that sort of something that can be remotely controversial a statement. Mourinho doesn't care. He would have been like, yeah, exactly. And
But
that's what happened at my previous job. That's what happened at this job.
But I think he exactly was talking about Tottenham and
He was.
realized, I
yeah,
just said that on camera.
Yeah.
And he's like, no, we're just talking about football in general. No, motherfucker, that's right now.
Yeah, but like he's so hesitant to like put himself out there in a way that Jose Mourinho completely is not. So I'm pretty sure when the Amazon guys looked at, I don't know, like 4,000 hours of edit of footage, and they went into the edit room. They're like, all right, let's start from November.
Yeah. I don't even think they looked at it. It's like, should we even like the story here is Mourinho. We just need enough of Pochettino to show that he got fired, and then because they just left out so much. It's the Mourinho story, like you said. It's like if you don't pay attention in the first episode, you'll think that Mourinho was there from the beginning of the season.
Yeah.
What do you think of the show so far, Martin?
I loved it. I think it was way more entertaining than the Man City one and any other.
I wouldn't say that, but go ahead.
A lot of drama. I love the conversations he had with players when he sits down with Kane and tells them that English players are not that respected in the world as a top players, but you can get to that level. Like, look at me, I'm at that level. You can also be at that level.
Yeah. That was my favorite moment of the entire 3 episodes. Like, and when he started saying the first few lines to Harry Kane, where he was like, you're there, but you're not there. And I had this feeling like he is gonna make a reference to himself at some point here, and bang, he's like, me, right? I am the Ronaldo and the Messi.
Well,
you're not.
It's pretty.
But he's right.
He's right. But like
him and Pep are the Ronaldo and Messi of coaches.
Yeah.
And Klopp is the Neymar that just came along and won of coaches that just won the league and the Champions League and may be the next. But he's saying
he's like the Salah.
But he's telling you to have balls. He keeps on telling the players to have balls, but he's telling them to have the balls that he has. Like, he's not afraid to say something and then worry about, if I say I'm a star, what about the people who don't think I'm a star? He's not even thinking about that shit. He's like, I'm a star. And you want to get to the next level. And he's doing a good job of coaching up Harry Kane, who I also don't believe should ever give a pregame speech.
Oh, my God.
His pregame speeches. Like, come on, Martin. What do you think of your captain's pregame speeches? It's like, just lead by example. Don't make him do this. He's like, come on, guys. If we win, we're only 4 points behind them. And, who doesn't want to be 4 points behind Chelsea? Let's go. Well, first of all, Mourinho just said that way more eloquently. And do you have something personal to say, Robot Kane? Could loosen up.
Like, I think Jose Mourinho got into his head. Like, that first conversation, and you could literally see, like, this didn't feel like the captain of a team talking to the manager of a team. It felt like the junior most member of the team. And I think, like, when he said, you have to show more balls, you have to be bad guys. I think the way Harry Kane took it was like he just has to swear 4 times every sentence. And you could see, like, he's not used to doing that.
So
he just says it out of turn, like, in a sense of, like, let's fucking go fucking do it. I'm dude, that's not...
that's not how you hug
you
heartstrings. That's not how you stir emotion. He's the worst Braveheart I've ever heard. Like, what do you think of your captain, Martin?
I like him. He's a good guy. And also,
he's a good guy. That's the point.
couple things that stood out for me was, it's pretty clear why he plays Dyer now, because he said that it's a team of good boys and he's the only one who tries to create conflict when on the field. So that was interesting. And then their conversation was kind of interesting too. And then it was interesting that his reaction when he took him out in the first half of the Olympiacos game.
Olympiacos, yeah.
It was interesting when he said to Aurier in the locker room in
Well,
front of...
slow down. Go back to the let's discuss the interesting when he pulled him out against Olympiacos.
Yeah.
What do you mean? That was a perfect substitution.
Yeah. But his reaction when you see Dyer sitting by himself in the locker room, super sad, when everybody else is celebrating and the camera is Dyer, and Dyer is like heartbroken.
I found that very strange, though. Fine, I understand you being upset when you got substituted, but like you're now in the locker room, and you know your rest of your teammates they may had a victory in a comeback, and he's visibly upset. Like he's almost sulking at that point.
Yep.
But I understand that though. Like let's say the coach before you had you in and out of the lineup. Then a legendary coach comes in, replaces your old coach. You have a conversation with him, and you know, now I'm going to get the chance to do what I feel I can do. And then you go into a game, you go down 2-0, and you're the person who gets pulled. And I remember that game because I remember in the press conference, Mourinho, this is where I could see that Mourinho was trying to be a better just human, period. In the press conference after that game, and they didn't show it in this show, he said, I pulled Eric, but I have to go in there and apologize for pulling him because it looks like it was his fault, but it wasn't his fault. I had to get some
it was
attacking in there.
He got Ericsson in for that,
So he was sacrificed for that, and not because he was the reason we were losing. So you're seeing Eric's face before he hears that from Mourinho.
But why does he need to hear that from Mourinho? Because it was very evident that the DM goes out for an attacking midfielder, right? And your team is 2-0 down. It should have been very.
You let that happen to you. Let that happen to you and not let that affect you, and I'll be impressed. Listen, and then another thing I learned from this series is, like, I watch this thing on every talk show, and I always rebel against any phrase that everybody says, you know? Like if there's a phrase or a cliche that people just say repetitively and they never come up with something new, I always rebel against it. But I think, like, so they talk about, when you're watching the punts, about confidence. And I really didn't understand how hard confidence, how much, I know confidence plays a huge part, but they talk about it the pundits talk about it so much after every game that I'm like, this is an overrated thing. Like, your skill gives you confidence. But actually, like, even the way, was it Vertonghen who said, it was either Vertonghen or the goalkeeper. Who's your goalkeeper, Lloris or Courtois? Lloris. He was like, confidence is such a hard thing to get, but such an easy thing to lose. And I was like, wow. And he's like, and then just all of them were just talking about and then Mourinho, knowing that he does this with every time he goes to a team and he likes the forward, like he liked Ibrahimovic, he liked Lukaku. You know what I mean?
He didn't like Lukaku, actually. He did not.
He did not? Didn't he?
Shipped him out of Chelsea.
But he went but he went out of his way to convince him because he was almost ready to go to Chelsea.
But that's not a typical Mourinho player. There were some typical Mourinho players, you know, like Frank Lampard was a Mourinho player, and he talks about it in the documentary as well, right?
Right.
Yeah.
But I thought Lukaku was like, you know, the guy, the hold-up guy that Mourinho likes. Just the same way, like, Kane looks like he's the hold-up guy that Mourinho likes, or Zlatan, you know what I mean? Like the big guy who's forward, you get the ball to him. So I just feel like, because when Lukaku was at Man United, he had so much confidence. He felt like he never needed to learn how to control a ball. Like, I felt like Mourinho gave him the same speech he gave Kane, you know, and it's like, hey, you're my guy. But I also feel like, I'm sure that we're never going to see all the footage. You can't just tell one forward, you're my guy. Because what happens when that forward gets injured?
Mm.
You're going to pretend somebody else is your guy? You didn't tell me that before. So that's the mistake in that.
A couple of things from the top of my head. Remember when he said to Aurier, by the way, Aurier got some good karma points, karma points. When he was talking about his past, his childhood, that, when he went to this specialty school and kicked the ball with kids, he said that happened to him when he was young, and if it didn't happen to him, he would probably be in jail like most of his friends. But then Mourinho, in front of the entire team, he tells Aurier something like, you scare me because you can always do something stupid in our penalty box, He right.
says a shit penalty. Like you're always going to give a shit penalty.
I was going to give us a shit
I missed that part. He said that to Aurier?
Yeah. In the locker room.
Shit.
But again, yeah.
What about...
And a friend of mine was telling me that he saw the documentary and he's like, hey, wasn't Aurier, he's a Liverpool fan, he's like, hey, isn't Aurier the guy who conceded a penalty against us? I'm like, yeah, maybe that was what was on his mind.
He's probably conceded a penalty against everyone. So he's not... Tell your friend his team is not that special.
That problem we fixed. We'll have Doherty from Wolverhampton. That it's a major upgrade. It's going to be great.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to seeing.
He's a nice player. Yeah.
Well, let me ask you a question. There was something weird in the documentary, and I'm glad I remembered it. So his assistant coach comes in the office it's like his first day.
Sissoko thing.
Yeah, and it's like, why would But then he kind of explained it a little later on. But he was like, so Mourinho, he loves defense. He loves defense, He loves that first. And he's like, Sissoko attacks too much.
No. It was different. It was a wrong translation. He said Sissoko has a...
Right.
It has
the ear of the locker room.
No, the biggest influence in the locker room, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And then why did they look so...
It was
happy.
weird. They didn't look happy
to hear that.
Because I think he realized something because they were showing back and forth. It was very good filmmaking. They were showing Mourinho being not happy with Sissoko being kind of chitty-chatty with other players. Maybe he felt that he's undermining his position a little bit. And then we see the next clip is him telling who is playing the first game, and Sissoko is not in the starting lineup, and they showed his reaction, and Sissoko's reaction was like...
Is Sissoko still at the club?
Oh, no, he played later, but he just wanted to send a message. I even wrote about it in my story, that he wanted, he heard that Sissoko has a huge influence in the locker room, and he kind of wanted to make sure this is my team now, this is my locker room. I will have the biggest influence in the locker room.
But why not talk to Sissoko?
I think he wanted to put him in the place first and see how he reacts.
Maybe he wasn't in his plans,
No, I think he wanted to put him in his place, and then he played him, but he wanted to put him in his place. Maybe he didn't like that he's too influential.
Why? First of all, Sissoko's a really good player. He's developed. He's been one of the most improved players in the Premier League over the last 2 years. Why have something against a player? For no reason.
No, I think he wanted to just mark his territory. It's like, this is my team now. You
didn't do that with Kane. You didn't do that with Dele.
Yeah, but you saw Kane. Kane is kind of a quiet leader. He's not a chitty-chatty guy, and Dele is just a funny guy. He doesn't take it as seriously as he should. Even Mourinho said it, that he doesn't train very well. So he saw a danger of Sissoko being a disruptive element, and I think Mourinho has a history of clashing with people who are like that. So he saw a potential conflict and he tried to put his mark his third.
But that's the problem. He's a good player. Why not get him on your side? Why not have a meeting with him, see if you connect with him, and then you could use his qualities in the dressing room to your advantage? I don't understand why it just went negative once they heard that.
Does Sissoko start for Spurs, under Mourinho? Does he start often?
Even third game, and he scored a goal at second or third game.
Yeah. That was there in the documentary.
That was just only one game he didn't play him in the starting lineup, and I think the reason why was because he wanted to tell him that I'm the boss now. Maybe your position was different with Pochettino. You were able to be biggest voice in the locker room, but he's like, now I am the biggest voice in the locker room. This is my team.
I know, but that's weird because Sissoko had to fight for his spot on the team.
Yep.
Like, he's a good player. He's not some guy that's entitled and was given something. He had to he came there as one thing and evolved into something better. And now he's a voice. I just don't understand that moment, like the reaction to that news. I don't understand it, but it's fine. Sissoko's playing.
Judging by Mourinho's history, he likes to have his players in the locker room as the guys, and puts them in the team. And clearly, Dyer is his player, and Sissoko wasn't his player, so he likes to.
But that's a choice. He chooses. Why do you choose when you don't know people who's your player and who's not? But fine. Let me ask you another question.
No, but I'll tell you why. Because it's also in the documentary, in this other conversation he has with the assistant, when the assistant says, "What do you think? What do you think?" This is a team of very good guys, but the only one who is not a good guy is Eric Dyer. And Mourinho is like, yeah, I like that he's the only one who's not a good guy on the field.
Yeah, and I also think telling his team to be like, I get it, like, and maybe it's an English barrier, but telling your team that I see where it had a negative. I saw where telling the team that they're too nice has a positive effect, but in the Chelsea game, it had a negative effect because that's when Son, I think, had that message in his ear and kicked out at Rudiger and got the red and got sent off.
But when you see Son's interviews in the lead up to that game, and not just that game, like throughout the documentary, you see they have like 2 or 3 interviews of Son, and he keeps saying, we need to be bad boys. And he's saying that with a huge grin. Like he's so cute, even when he's saying the fact that, we need to be cute boys. And the manager just told me, we need to be bad boys. We need to be more. Yeah. And I'm like, dude, this is a recipe for failure. Like, he's not set up for this. He doesn't know what to do.
He doesn't know how to translate that. How is that a red? Well, that's a red, bro.
But I like his reaction when he sits by himself in the locker room. That's a very moving moment. I had tears in my eyes. I felt for him, And he's.
How do you?
And he's not a weak guy. He's the most consistent performer in the last 2 years for the Spurs.
Yeah, I know. I told you always. I told you about Son before you even was convinced that he was a real player. He's the Michael Jackson of soccer in Korea. You know what I'm saying?
And anybody who has that kind of career path,
that's a controversial, I would say, statement. I would say.
Why you say that?
Well, Michael Jackson comes with a lot of good, but some bad stuff. So I would say let's use Michael Jordan of football. Yeah.
Nah, because he's nah. I'm just talking about like fandom wise. But let me. So what? Now you had complaints about Dyer, Martin, throughout the entire season, and Mourinho's overuse of him. So how do you feel now after seeing Mourinho's reason why, and does it make things better, or you still sticking with
it? No, it makes things worse because it clearly shows that he's tied to him emotionally and mentally. And
instead of like logically.
Yeah, and because he let go of Vertonghen already played first game for Benfica. He's now with Benfica. The pairing will be clearly Alderweireld and Dyer unless Sanchez will somehow sneak in, but I don't think so. I don't think Mourinho likes Sanchez that much. I'll tell you that. It shows that he's emotionally connected to Dyer, and Dyer was in his plans when he was at Man U. He tells it to him. I tried to buy you. He tried to buy him to Man U.
Thank God.
Is your problem with Dyer the fact that he's using him as a center back, or the fact that he's using him at all?
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, but you're still okay with him playing as in midfield as he used to?
Well, it depends. When the seasons we finished second, and the season when we were behind Leicester for most of the season, I think he was pretty good. Last 2 years he clearly.
When you say behind Leicester, you mean finished third?
Yeah, but I'm saying chasing Leicester the whole year.
I just want to make sure. We talk about the same the 2-horse finishing third in a 2-horse race season. That one, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
I think he was pretty good in that year, and he was in the starting lineup for England as well. So he clearly regressed. He's not an old player. He's only, 27, 28. So, well, maybe he will find his way again, you know, because I've seen him play well, but he played well as a defensive midfielder.
What do you really think of Dyer?
Defensive midfielder.
But
Who is
how
this?
good?
Who's the
Rotation
other
player. He could be a rotation player.
Right. They're not
who's the
like
other competitor there?
Winks.
Rotation player. He's probably better than Winks. If he would play like he was 4 years ago, he's better than Winks, but not lately, no.
All right. It's weird that, like, if you're that size, you should be better than Winks, but he's not.
Is Winks his competitor for the defensive midfielder position?
Well, I don't
or is it somebody else?
See him as a defensive midfielder. That's the problem. But right now, he bought the guy from Southampton, so I think the guy from Southampton.
Oh, yeah.
He's the guy because he has physique. He has the quality, and that's his position. You know, so I think both of our buys are sneaky good buys because they are not big names. But I think both of them will be very useful, and Doherty and the Southampton guy.
I think Doherty's a good buy. I spoke to Lee Hudson. You know, he's a Southampton fan. He says Højbjerg is just he's a squad player. You know, he's not a what's his squad like off. He doesn't think he's that good. He doesn't think you guys. He's a sneaky good deal that you think he is, and I agree because I've never seen any consistency or anything that impressed me about Højbjerg. So we'll see.
Well, they were the third best team of the pandemic in the league, you know, and he was playing every game, so he did something right.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know, bro. When I think of Southampton's victories in the last 9 games of the season, I don't think Højbjerg. You know. Anything else about the doc? I'm trying to remember any other things I wanted. Harry Kane is a terrible Braveheart speech giver. Anything else?
What do you think, Martin, is the whole, because this kept coming back, right? The whole bad boys thing. Do you see, since Mourinho has come in, there been some change in that part of aspect in the team? And
well, he already did. I think he already did. They played different under him in the last part of the season. And I actually, since Mourinho came, we were the 4th best team in the league. So he did something right. I mean, he's not a disaster so far. He improved the team over what Pochettino left at the very end. He didn't improve over Pochettino at his best yet, but he improved over the late Pochettino for sure. Let's see what he can do with this new bites, you know, and the full team, because he didn't have Kane and Son in a very important stretch when he lost games right before pandemic. So let's see what he can do with the full team.
But do you agree on that aggressiveness part of it?
They played, especially against Arsenal. I think they showed that when they won against Arsenal.
Okay.
But I think aggression is almost the wrong word, because before I mentioned Xavi and Iniesta, and they were never nasty.
No.
They were tough, and they played hard, and they weren't just some finesse players that you could just run by. So that's why I think maybe it's Jose Mourinho's English barrier of what he's saying. You got to be tough, you got to be nasty. But some people, like Son, whose first language ain't English, is interpreting that shit wrong anyway, you know?
But Tottenham used to be that team too. Like a couple of years back, when they had that backline of Danny Rose, Alderweireld, Vertonghen, and Kyle Walker, they were a very aggressive, physically aggressive backline too. So
Dyer played this defensive midfielder who is aggressive too, and Dembele was the second guy, and then they have Wanyama to play instead of Dyer. Yeah, I agree.
Right. So I think maybe the version of Spurs that Jose Mourinho walked in through the doors and found is a little soft, but it's a pretty recent thing, if at all. It's not something that Spurs teams over the last 5 or 6 years have always had that problem. I think maybe it's just a passing problem, a team in transition, and like players like Alderweireld, Vertonghen, and Danny Rose, they've all reached the end of their Spurs career pretty much. So he has to pretty much start from scratch, and he's starting from scratch with people like he has to go to the training ground and say, good kid, and ask his name, and the guy's like, Walker or Peters? Like, Walker Peters. Like, that's too long.
I mean, that's just good fun.
Yeah, like I don't think he's that impressed with the current crop in with that aspect. So, but that'll take time, and that'll.
And there was a moment about Walker Peters that I think Ali parked car into his car, something like hit his car in the parking lot. That was Ali, right?
Oh yeah.
Something like
that. Oh yeah.
The thing about the documentary is, I was hoping it would explain to me why Spurs fell apart in the beginning of the season, and it still didn't. Did it explain that for you?
They didn't fall apart at the beginning of the season. They fell apart in the middle of the previous season. Like they did go to the Champions League by a miracle, because what happened in Amsterdam was a miracle, but they were losing game after game starting in January. So the problem started in January. Actually, they were losing a lot of games.
But why? But why?
The team burned out under Pochettino. I mean, the concept of playing, it just, stopped working. There was a moment where it was just too much. It was the burnout thing. And that's what Levy says, that the heart was telling him not to do it, but the brain was telling him to do it, to get rid of Pochettino, because they had a close link.
Right.
They were working together for 5 years. For me, the one worrying thing I would say from the documentary is the insight to Dele Alli's mentality. He seems like he really doesn't take it seriously, and Mourinho says that first to Levy, saying that he doesn't train well, and then he has this probably his best speech of the entire documentary when he tells Dele Alli, yesterday I was 20, now I'm 58. 56. You don't want to at some point regret what could have been. You don't want to regret.
And Dele Alli played good the 4 games right after that speech, because you guys won 3 in a row. You lost to Man U, but Dele still scored in that Man U game.
Great goal.
So, he needed to hear that. And how do you think he's played since those 4 games?
He had a little bit of an injury lately, I think, in the pandemic. Mm-hmm. So he wasn't fully fit. I mean, that's what Mourinho says in the conversation with him, that you were the MK Dons, then you come to Tottenham, then you're in England, you're at the top, and then after that, up and down. Why, Dele Alli? You only know why. I can't tell you why. You have to figure it out.
MK Dons is a great name for a team.
Yeah.
That's all I got to say about that.
Used to be better, because it used to be Wimbledon.
Wimbledon, yeah.
All right. Well, the season's actually not this weekend, it's next weekend. This weekend is international. So I don't know if we really have to, go over anything.
No, the only interesting fact about the international football is, and it affected Polish national team as well, but Major League Soccer, and it's an unprecedented thing that never happened ever in the history of football, and it could lead to potentially happening in the future, is that Major League Soccer didn't allow any players to go for international football, even if the League of Nations is a official FIFA competition. But because of using the virus as an excuse, Major League Soccer banned all the players from traveling to Europe.
Oh, because they don't want them to come back, may possibly contaminated and ruin the league.
And quarantine and stuff.
Yeah.
Because most of them are high-profile players. Those are like the best players in the league who are international players.
And I was reading something today, apparently, because Chelsea is making a few signings.
Who did they just buy since we've been on?
I think Kai Havertz, it's been confirmed that he had his medical on Sunday in London. So I think the announcement is going to be anytime tomorrow.
If you had medical on Sunday, it should be signed already by Tuesday.
I think they're finally trying to get a proper announcement video going, because the other players just literally got announced with a 15-second video. So maybe they shot all of that. But the interesting thing what I read was that for any team to be able to play on opening weekend, they need to be registered with their respective teams by the end of this week. Because if you don't do that, then you have to go into that 14-day quarantine. If you are
Right.
registered already, you get a waiver. You get a special sports
Exemption.
exemption. So we need to really push on that goalkeeper. I'm pretty sure they already registered Havertz, but we need that goalkeeper before match week 1.
Hilarious.
So
That goalkeeper. I don't think. How do you have time to buy a goalkeeper with all the offense? Maybe you're gonna have one of your Tammy Abrams play goalkeeper. I don't know.
now we're
Like,
getting this goalkeeper from Rennes in France. His name is Edouard Mendy. Looks like he's the guy. Pretty cheap. I think what the club realized was there is no real high quality goalkeeper available right now without spending some obscene amount like 120 million on Oblak. So let's get somebody who can be a stopgap option for a year. Pretty much the same thing they did at centre back with Thiago Silva.
Silva's really good though.
Yeah. But with the with the age and stuff. So I think you're trying to get this guy Edouard Mendy, who I've never seen him play, but the only thing I know, he's tall and he dives, so he has already 2 advantages over Kepa. So you can't really go much wrong.
Oh yes, you can.
Not from last season. Like that guy was the WOT. He was the worst of all time.
You guys still finished 4th.
Yeah, well, should have finished 3rd.
Nah.
we finished 4th with that goalkeeper.
Half a season head start. You didn't want to do it.
Anyways, yeah. So I think we're gonna get that goalkeeper. I just hope we get him before the first game.
Good luck, bro. Anything else? Anybody want to cover before we bounce? Somebody in the background.
Yeah, no. What's the?
Someone's behind your back.
Watch your back. Watch your back. Watch your back.
She's trying to sneak in. What's the?
She got something to say about the sport.
No, I think I'm just hogging up all the kitchen space. So people are hungry right now.
Hilarious.
What do you guys? Because this is I think 3 episodes every week. So we're gonna have 3 more episodes. So what do you think is something that is to be looked forward to in the next week, Martin? Like based on what you know of how the season went.
What do you mean? With the Tottenham?
Yeah. With the Tottenham documentary.
Hard to predict, because as we've seen, they didn't show much of the Pochettino start of the season. So right now it's pretty much a creative choice of the producers what they want to focus on. I mean, if it's going to be funnier, if it's going to get more intense, are we going to pretty much see the same thing? So games and then reaction locker rooms, are they going to spice it up? They're going to do more stories from individual players. Like they had this moment with Aurier that it was almost like an interview with him, and they focused on Aurier. I think we might see more of that, to see the stories from like other players, let's say Lucas Moura or someone else, and then being the narrators of their own story for 5 or 6 minutes here and there, just like in The Last Dance. But I want to see more of that stuff, like between Mourinho and Dele Alli, because that's kind of an eye opener for me, because that kind of explained to me why Dele Alli sort of didn't develop his talent to what I thought he would be 3 years ago, when I thought he's one of the best young talents in the world. And right now I'm kind of on the fence with that. I'm not sure anymore.
Yeah, I'm not on the fence. I didn't think he was then, and he proved it. So I appreciate that. You know what I want to see from the doc more? I want to see Aurier spill more iced coffee on Mourinho's shoes.
And then try to half-ass clean it.
And then try to half-ass clean it. Also, it's also funny to watch players that Martin don't like, get the spotlight in the documentary. So what do you
like
think
who?
of Aurier? Like, he's not a big fan of Dyer, but he told you why. And then Aurier, he always had a problem with Aurier. So what do you think of Aurier in the documentary, though?
I mean, he won my heart with his story, for sure. But at the same time, I feel for him as a human being, and he might be a great guy the way his life it kind of happened from with the obstacles he had to go through. But I'm still happy that Doherty will play the position instead of him. Yeah, definitely 100%. Bro, it will save me a lot of stress. Trust me.
Maybe we'll see.
I want to see a little more about Son though, because it's not easy having the kind of career path that he has. Coming from a country where you're not known for producing soccer, top tier soccer talent, and spending a large amount of your childhood away in Germany trying to.
But they had this guy on Man U who was a pretty good player, Park Ji-sung. He was actually
yeah. But like that's so rare, right? Like it's once every decade or so you have somebody, and so I really want to see how if they can show a little bit more about how he deals with the fame back home. I think they touched upon it briefly.
Who you think Ian is better, Park Ji-sung at his prime or Son?
Different positions.
No, but like overall.
I like Son, just style of football.
Mm-hmm.
But Park Ji-sung did more than I thought he did. Like if you ask any Man U player who played with him, they'll tell you about all these things that he did, the relentless energy, and he was an engine. And Son is just an attacker. So I'm more partial to flair-looking attacking people than what Park Ji-sung did. But I have to recognize, based on ex-Man U players who won trophies with him, I got to put some respect on his name.
I think it has to be Son. Like Park Ji-sung was.
They're both Son. Which Son?
Son, and was a son.
One is Park Ji-sung,
okay.
and one is
Sang Hyun-min.
So Park was good, but like he was a squad player for the most part. Like
right.
He played he played every game.
He played more than you think. Trust me. Like I don't remember him as much, but when you look, I think he went to 2 Champions League finals in a row.
Yeah. He was in those Champions. But like Son has a legitimate claim to be a top 5 forward player in the league right now.
Yeah, goal scorer always gets more,
attention. But Park Ji-sung, I think, was a great player. You had a guy on Chelsea who was kind of, never really paid attention to him, and then
Mikel?
he played 250 games for Chelsea. Yeah,
Mikel, it's kind of, but again, like Mikel was, and he was always there in those big games, Champions League semi-final, Champions League final, critical games in the Premier League. But if you have to at some point compare his legacy at Chelsea with somebody like Hazard, who's played similar number of games, even less.
I don't even think Mikel has a legacy.
Mikel has a legacy. I think Mikel is like one of those players a lot of fans fall in love with, because he was there in those critical games, and he would come on after 70 minutes,
right.
Shut down the game.
He went to Barcelona, right?
No, he went to Turkey. I think he went first to China. Yeah, China, then Turkey. I heard he's coming back. He's coming back to Middlesbrough in the UK. So and apparently some Premier League, low league clubs are also looking, but I think eventually he's going to Middlesbrough. So yeah, you have those players in every squad. I think like you need those players. You can't just have these 11 world-class players and win. But yeah, I think Son, like as Jose Mourinho says, his son, his kid calls him Sonaldo.
Sure. Yeah, John Obi Mikel was a defensive midfield player, so.
I think Mourinho made him a defensive midfield player. He was not a defensive midfield player when he came in. Mourinho has like twisted and turned the careers of so many players.
But that happens to so many, like, there's so many wing backs who were forwards. And, Davis, is a forward. He goes to Bayern. He wins the Champions League as a, so we just, we'll just see. But let's wrap this up.
Yeah.
Anything anybody got to say?
Yeah, check out Manrash and follow me on Instagram and Twitter. It's Martin_Harris LA on Instagram and Martin W Harris on Twitter.
What you got, Neil? Besides to get out the kitchen so some cooking can get done.
I think I need to make some food to compensate for blocking the kitchen.
Hilarious. All right, I'll leave the Zoom on so we can record that. What are you making?
No, some shrimp Creole. I think that's what I want to make today.
All right. Sounds good.
Yeah, at Sawyer's Lawyer. Follow me on Instagram, follow me on Twitter, and I'm looking forward to more of All or Nothing.
I just like how in All or Nothing, I thought about you last night, Neil, when Mourinho went to play Chelsea and Willian scored the 2 goals. And I'm like, all you do is shit on William, but his legacy always pops up whenever.
But at Chelsea we have this song famous song. It's one of the best player chants we have, and the lyrics go, the shit from Spurs. They bought his flight, but Willian saw the light. He got the call from Abramovich, and off he went to Stamford Bridge. He hates Tottenham. So Willian's legacy at Chelsea is the first thing people will tell you is Tottenham Hotspur. So no surprise he shows up and scores two goals against Tottenham. I was for a moment worried that Willian, when he started to think about leaving because he wants to stay in London and he has this great relationship with Mourinho, that would he actually end up at Tottenham? Like that would be a huge.
We don't need him.
Yeah.
You do.
B team maybe.
He's shit. Your starters can't even get with him.
No. He's a bad boy though. You might. He's a bad boy.
He's nasty. He plays nasty, bro.
We're good.
All right. Everybody, thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. If you're watching, thank you, Aaron Brungardt, for putting this together, producing it every week. You can get at me on Instagram and Twitter at Ian Edwards Comic. I also want to say, last week there was a shooting in Kenosha, and a bunch of NBA players and WNBA players and MLS teams went on strike. And and they just used their popularity and their leverage to try to gain equality for all. Let's just put it that way. It was beautiful. And no matter how it happened in the NBA, because I heard a lot of different stories, just the fact that players want to contribute to society in a social way and push for change. And, I don't understand people who don't want the police force to be better. If I ask anybody, is the police force the best it could be? Is it perfect? Nobody's going to say it's perfect. So let's fix the things about it that aren't perfect. Is this country perfect? No. So let's fix the things about it that aren't perfect. And if you want to not play to fix those imperfections, I'm with you. So I just say thank you for everybody who didn't play last week and didn't play because they want this country to be better for everybody and equal for everybody. And because when this country is better for everybody and equal for everybody, everybody will benefit from it. Whether you believe it or not, you will benefit from it. So, hey man, I just want to thank the MLS players for striking and putting their foot down and, putting their money where their mouth is. The NFL players, the NBA players and the WNBA players and tennis players did it too. And then I might be missing some people, but it was so beautiful not to watch sports. You know what I'm saying? So I just, from the bottom of my heart, I appreciate what everybody did last week. And let's keep doing it until we fix this thing. And thank you two guys for being on. Thank you, Andrew Brungardt, And my name is Ian Edwards, and we out.